back to Just Energy Radio with Dr. Rita Louise.
Hello and welcome back to Just Energy Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for staying tuned to the second hour today. We're going to be speaking with Jean McClelland about medicine, East meets West. But before I bring Jean on, let me remind you that Just Energy Radio is brought to you by SoulHealer.com, where you can find out about all the services I offer that are available to you from the comfort of your own home. We can do them over the phone or Skype, or even email, which is a little bit weird, but we can do it. It's also brought to you by the Institute of Applied Energetics. That's AppliedEnergeticsInstitute.com. And please do sign up for our weekly newsletter to keep you informed of all of our upcoming guests. And you can do that at www.justenergyradio.com. So let me tell you about Jean and get her on the air. Jean McClelland is the founder of the Center of Kinetic Change, a center for exchanging any negative energy in your system for positive, supportive energy. Jean applied metaphysical principles to her corporate positions in order to achieve great success. Her experience includes corporate and consulting positions with Fortune 100 companies such as Pricewaterhouse Coopers, Ford, Hewlett Packard, and more. So from kineticchange.com, please welcome Jean McClelland. Hey, Jean, how are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. I don't know whether I can keep up the energy as Roger just did, but oh my goodness, he was fun.
Yeah, he's quite the hoot. You know, and like I said to him at the very beginning of the show, he is so smart. You know, he has just this encyclopedia of information in his head, but he really makes, you know, something that could be really boring very palatable and fun.
Right.
And,
right, yes.
But we're going to be talking about energy medicine and allopathic medicine. You know, and as you know, and as everyone on that listens to the show knows, is that, you know, the position of our show is that everything is all just energy. Yes. You know, and there's just been an increase in the interested in healing the body using alternative means, including energy medicine. And just to kind of start the conversation off, you know, what is energy medicine?
Well, think of how you think. Every thought is a piece of energy. It is a actually palpable, measurable piece of energy. Your thoughts are literally things, as the cliche, it's almost a cliche now. So you have inspirations and you have the thoughts that come through the brain. If your inspiration is actually coming from somewhere outside yourself, it will come in through the brain and then be able to be expressed through this time-space continuum into something reality in this space-time continuum. So energy begins with thought, but it's everything that we do. It's everything that we touch, everything that we feel, everything that we taste, everything. It's all energy.
But we're talking thoughts. I mean, we can't touch a thought. We can't even measure a thought right now. How could that be possible?
Well, okay, you can't touch a thought, and you also can't touch the wireless radio signals that are coming and that are allowing us to share our thoughts with all these wonderful people that are listening to us. Things that you can't touch just doesn't mean that they're not things. It just means that we, in the bodies that we've chosen in this time-space continuum, are not able to necessarily be aware of them with our five senses. But then again, there's that sixth sense that we all have and that we can make even more powerful as we exercise it, just like any muscle, any physical muscle that we have. So where I'm going with this is just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it's not real, and just because you can't see it doesn't mean you can't use it. We're using a lot of things you can't see right now in order to share our knowledge and in order to communicate with others.
Yeah, just like listening to the show. You know, they say that scientists understand how to make radio work, radio and TV work, but they really don't understand why it works?
Exactly. That is exactly true. And we don't always have to understand why things work. Why does it work that you feel that you should call someone and the phone rings and there they are? It's because there's this energy around us that we all live within. This is of course, my theory. But we live within a soup of energy. We live within a whole energy structure that we may not be aware of, but does connect us all. I mean, how many times have you thought about the breath that you're breathing and where it just came from, where that air just came from? It takes 24 hours for air to literally go around the globe. So you could be in actuality breathing molecules that were expressed out of someone that you would absolutely love, maybe somebody that you adore, maybe you're a Beatles fan, and it was a Beatle. It was Paul McCartney who breathed that molecule out, and you're breathing it in. Doesn't mean that we can't utilize that.
I'm sorry, there's just this whole, totally disgusting image that came into my head. It's like, ew, I don't want to be breathing that air. I mean, if you knew what my dog's breath smelled like, it's like, I don't know that I want to be breathing that air either.
Well, we all share the air, and we all share this energy that we live within, so that we can utilize that energy to our best manifestations, or we can ignore it and just live within ourselves. We can do anything we want with it, and including healing. And see, that's where the East meets the West on the medicine.
Mm-hmm. But how does this energy impact us? I mean, just because I'm having a thought, okay, so I'm having a thought. Sorry, playing a lot of devil advocate with you. So
No problem. Think of your, thoughts. When you have a thought and you want to express it, you do what? You verbalize it. Maybe all the pieces of your body that goes into your voice actually start working, but do you know how they work? Not necessarily, but that thought starts getting expressed through your voice. I mean, right now, I have an Italian heritage, so I am using my hands to express myself. Do I think, I'm going to move my hand to the left? No. The different parts of your body do whatever they need to do in order for you to express that thought. Now let's take that down a level. Let's take it down into, let's express our thoughts and share them with others. We need to write them. My daughter happens to be a wonderful author, and what she does is she will think her thought, or the thought will think her, depending on how you look at it, and then she'll take a pen or a pencil, and all the workings of the human body will begin working so that she can form the letters on a page with that pen or pencil, or her fingers will start typing on her apple. We express the energy within which we live in all different ways, with our body language, with what we pay attention to, with our writing, with what we see on the TV. Realize that in this soup of energy that we are living within, there are billions of stimuli coming into your sight, into your body, into your brain. How much do you pay attention to? Not a lot.
Not much.
Not much. So we have all these possibilities of additional energy that we can utilize to heal ourselves, to make our lives better, to do whatever we want to do in this time-space continuum and potentially beyond, as some of the other shows that I've listened to on Dr. Rita Louise have said.
Infinity and beyond.
Yes.
You were talking about people expressing their thoughts and expressing their emotions, but I think there are so many people that don't. They might have a thought and they might dwell on it for several hours or days or weeks or they might have a thought and just take it and shove it in the back and never really do anything with it. What about those people?
Well, see, that goes back to just what Roger was saying, but I would take it a little bit differently, and it also goes back to our main topic, East versus West in medicine. When you stuff those thoughts, then what you're doing is you are stuffing, and you don't express them. Now, I'm not saying that you feel a little bit of anger and therefore you blow up at the first person you see. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But if you have thoughts that you are festering, that are really bothering you, that you don't get out of your system, then you are burying them in your system. Remember how he was just saying about how the toxins that you eat through the food that you choose, which is also energy, remember, then if your body cannot digest them, and if you cannot digest your thoughts and express what is right for you or just let them go, then that is when you are going to start creating disease within yourself. Disease, as people say. It is not going to feel comfortable. It is going to be harbored in the tissues and the fat and the muscles and the bones, wherever your weakest point is, and it will create the disease. So that's what happens to people that don't actually either let go, or digest their thoughts.
And I think that there are a lot of people that on some levels realize that, while they might be taking care of their physical body, that they are emotionally toxic.
Yes.
Or maybe they don't realize that they're emotionally toxic.
That's true. A lot of people that are emotionally toxic do not realize that they grow up in and become this way very gradually, kind of a boiled frog syndrome. You know the boiled frog story, right? Where if you put a frog in some nice warm water, the frog's happy and the frog's swimming around, and you turn the heat up a little and the frog's still happy. And if you just turn it up a little, frog doesn't know. It doesn't notice that. Again, this goes back to what are you paying your attention to. It doesn't realize that it's just getting a little hotter, a little hotter, a little hotter, and finally the frog's cooked. It's boiled. So you can grow up in a toxic environment, and because that's or one that becomes toxic, and if it only becomes toxic a little bit at a time, oh, I'm frustrated with this. Oh, I'm frustrated with that. Oh, I'm a little bit angry about this. Oh, I'm even more angry about that. This is just so hard. Life is so hard. And the kids start picking up that energy, and they start picking up, or you start picking it up from a spouse or a sibling or friends or whatever. And you're constantly in that energy of frustration, and then that grows to anger, and that grows to even more anger, and finally you're in this totally toxic environment where everything is wrong. Everything is wrong. And you don't even realize that you don't have to be there, that it's just become that way because it became that way a little at a time. What are you paying attention to? What are you thinking? Where is the energy coming from that you are expressing? Is it coming from that atmosphere that has grown into a toxic atmosphere of, oh my God, life is hard? So, did I answer your question?
No.
Okay.
It's just a interesting topic to kind of explore, because I don't think people fully grasp the depth that their thoughts and emotions impact them, not just physically, which we're going to talk about, but, what the nature of them are. It's like, you can sit there and go, oh, well, your thoughts and feelings impact your emotion or your physical body. And it's like, okay, well, what does that mean?
Okay. All right. Let me get to a more scientific, maybe a scientific. Okay. You can probably visualize what people see on a screen when they're measuring like a radio wave, and it's a nice little it's a hump at the top and then a hump down the bottom, and it goes and it looks like a wave, and it's all very nice and happy. And then if you have another one coming at it from the other direction and they're not in sync when they meet, they kind of blow up, right? That would be interference. So now, instead of a radio wave, let's take a thought wave, and you're walking along and you're having a nice time, and it's a beautiful day, and this just happened to me 2 weeks ago. I'll use this one, and I'm driving along, and I'm going north, and everything's fine, and I'm in the right-hand lane, and there's a guy in the center lane, and he decides to make a right-hand turn. There's only one problem. I bet he was
on the phone.
No, he was 18 years old and talking to his girlfriend and having a good time.
He was on the phone. Oh, she was in the car?
He was in the car. Anyway, those two things that were in alignment now crashed and blew up, okay? All right, on an energetic level, if you have those two thought forms, so what was I thinking that I brought that to myself? That's another question, but we won't go there right now. But anyway, if you have your thoughts that are just going along and then you have this disruption, this blow-up, where does that blow-up energy go? Where does it go in your body? Think now of atoms, because you know that your body is made up of molecules which are made up of atoms, and an atom has a nucleus, and then it has this cloud of stuff around it. Well, what's between the nucleus and that cloud of stuff around it? Who knows? Nobody knows. The scientists don't know. Nobody knows. I contend that it's spirit and thought. Okay? It's energy. There's nothing that they can measure that is actually between that. And think how many atoms are in your body. Good heavens, we have trillions and trillions. So when you have these two energetic beams that are going along so nicely and blow up, what happens? That blow up has to be neutralized somewhere. So it goes through your body, and the body either digests it or sloughs it off. It can create, oh my goodness, that neuron is no longer firing and connecting with this other neuron. So your thoughts change, or you get a brain tumor. All that disruption of your normal energy goes somewhere. So what we do with the energy medicine, and you do this all the time, I've had a session with you which was very effective, and you did this for me, is when you have that disruptive energy that you want to get rid of, you need to pay attention to where your energy is flowing and allow that disruption to go back to Mother Earth to be neutralized and expressed differently.
Well,
too far out?
No. I get it, and I mean, one of the things that I was thinking, because we were talking about expressing the emotional energy, but it seems like society on some levels impacts our ability to express all of our emotional energies. As an example, using your car accident scenario, in the animal world, the natural reaction would be one of the animals would attack the other animal, right. And there would have been a hostile outburst, and it almost seems like in our sophistication, culturalization, we're having to learn other ways of dealing with things that are more primal in different ways.
Yes. But let's talk about expression. You're exactly right in how everybody's talking about expression and expressing. And I even talked about using your voice or writing, writing an angry letter, or something like that. But another way of expressing it, like one of the first thing I did after the car accident was take a moment to breathe, center, and let go. okay? And that is an expression that will allow the disruptive energy to go back into Mother Earth and will go through the body. Another form of expression is the energy medicine, allowing it to come out. Chiropractic aligns the bones and helps massage, helps the muscles relax and let go. These are also expressions of energy that allow you to either digest or let go of the disruptive energy before it settles into your bones, tissues, muscles, organs, whatever, to create dis-ease.
Do you think, going back to the car accident thing, because, I mean, I think it's an example that happens, not the car accident, but these disturbances to our life, you know, and what we're thinking. Mm-hmm. Do you think that there's kind of like a window of opportunity that we have in the moment to shed taking that energy on? You know, like you said, okay, this thing happened, you know, and I took a few breaths and I grounded and centered myself. I immediately thought, well, there would be a few explicatives, and I might, you know, and then I might breathe and center and think. But, I mean, I have found that if, you know, something happens and I go, okay, the world's not coming to an end in this moment, and, you know, I can kind of get out of the energy versus carrying it on for a really long time. Like there's this window of opportunity. I mean, what do you think about that?
Right. I think that there is a window of opportunity, and there's not a window of opportunity. There's many windows of opportunity. Even if you have a violent reaction, okay, say I got out of the car and saw that it was, you know, an 18-year-old and just got really, really angry with him and you know, was really grouchy and yada, yada, yada. I could let that disruptive energy go in another form, like with energy medicine, with the help, or sitting down and doing meditation an hour later, or if I'm really disgruntled and it's already creating problems in my physical body, then I go to some sort of help and you know, an energy medicine person or a chiropractor or a massage or acupuncture or any of the other alternative modalities, and have that energy removed from the body. So there's not just one window of opportunity to have that energy removed from the body. We harbor it as long as it's doing something for us, even if what it's doing for us is making us sick. So I want to make sure that people understand that you don't have to just let go of it right then. Sometimes a disruptive energy just disrupts whatever is going on in a good way so that you will get on another path. One of my first thoughts when I had that accident was, wow, I thought I was on the right path to where I wanted to go. I guess I wasn't on the right path or he wouldn't have hit me. You know? Am I being clear?
No. You know, I just am formulating good questions. In that situation, is it possible that, so let's say, you know, you have the accident and, you know, yeah, there's anger or frustration because you aren't getting to the place that you go to, but at the same time, there's a feeling, and I'm just going to throw an emotion out there, of helplessness. You know, because now you're here, your car is totally messed up, you're on the side of the freeway, you know, it's rush hour traffic. You know, so there's, you know, other emotions coming up, but is it possible that what we end up experiencing is actually an old issue that we've never really resolved that is actually resurfacing to our conscious mind with a different image on it?
I totally agree with all of that. And therefore, it is most important to understand what you are paying attention to. Are you paying attention to the immediate and you just want to get out of that situation? Or are you paying attention to the fact that this is a message, this is a trend, this is something that happens to me in different forms and numbers of ways. So this is coming to the surface, and I can now let go of all of it. Remembering, too, that once you let go of a destructive energy, that you're not only healing yourself, but you're healing 7 generations back and 7 generations forward.
You know, it's up until this moment, I'm going to be real honest here, up until this moment, you know, I never really understood that quote, you know, or that saying.
Oh.
But, well, I mean, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, whatever. But from an energetic, you know, I never thought about it from just a completely energetic point of view, because if you learned those habits and those tendencies because you were taught that way. You know, so
yes.
when you heal yourself, you know, you're making it so that your children or grandchildren or whatever don't have to have that experience because you're not radiating that energy anymore.
Right. Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Ooh, I had a light bulb moment.
Yay! I'm glad to be a part of that. Okay, and here's another thing that really I learned from a good friend of mine who's a nationally recognized feng shui consultant. And she you know, will do all the feng shui stuff, and I do it intuitively, and a lot of friends do it intuitively, and you know, because we're all into all this stuff. But when she does it for people who don't understand the energetic bonds, the energetic help, the energetics of living, and they have some energy that could be detrimental to them, then what she taught me is that, okay, if you are aware of what energy is around you for the month, for the year, for the whatever, then you can choose how to experience that. For instance, if I had been aware, because I did have metal on metal energy in my life, she looked it up as soon as she heard that I had the accident, and if I had been aware that that energy was in my life through other means, and we'll talk about that in just a second, I could have chosen how to experience that, and maybe what I would have chosen would have been more like, going to a metal class and designing a piece of art through hacking up a piece of metal and burning it so that different colors came out, as opposed to crumpling my car into bits. See, seriously. I'm trying to think of a better example, and there's been a number of them, but I'm not doing very well at bringing that up in my mind.
And so let me see if I can paraphrase what you're saying, that because there was this pre-existing energy, your subconscious or whatever, psyche, you know, whatever word you want to put there,
right,
created a situation to bring it back up to the surface, but
right,
it ended up coming out in a negative form as opposed to a more positive form.
Right.
More shocking.
Yes, more shocking. I like that better because it wasn't necessarily negative. True, I had to do without my car for 2.5 weeks. I just got it back. And I had to put out my deductible because he was underinsured and yada, yada, yada and all that sort of stuff. But I will eventually get all that back. Now, I can choose whether to have that as a negative experience, or I can choose to say, thank you for bringing this to my conscious mind. I'm letting go of that type of expression of the trends that I have been creating, and it's gone. And that energy is now neutralized. It's back to the core of Mother Earth, neutralized to be expressed again in some other more positive way in my life.
And that's
what
a good
are you
thing.
paying attention to? Yeah.
See? That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a very good thing. That's a very, very good thing. So by choosing to see what would normally be perceived, because we've all been taught that having a car accident is a negative, my kid, I love my kid, but she's just a special person anyway. When she found out that I needed a new door on the car, the door wouldn't work. He hit me just on the front fender, and had it been another foot, he would have hit me right at my door, and I probably would have not been talking to you today. So, so there was a positive, and when she found out that I needed a whole new door because it was like really messed up, she says, new doors are opening for you. I go, how cool. Now, isn't that a much better thought than saying, my door's all messed up and I can't open it and I have to crawl out the passenger side in order to get in my car, and I go, no. Yeah. So I like my door. I have new doors opening for me. Much better than that.
Well, I figured out just a much better way of dealing with the car thing. So,
what?
I mean, my husband had been talking to me about, you need to get another car, something that reflects your position in life, and you drive this old thing and rah, 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 rah. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, but it's paid for.
Yes,
that was my thought. And,
exactly.
However, the universe works in mysterious ways, and somehow, some way, my car rolled into a ravine and ended up getting totaled. And my husband's like, well, what did you do? It's like, I didn't do anything. I wasn't even in the car. You so can't blame me. It was the work of God, I swear. And
the universe supports us in very strange ways at points, doesn't it?
Well, my thought was, that is one way of getting me to buy a new car.
Exactly. You needed that little extra push. The universe
and I just
supports us.
And I was just very thankful, you'll appreciate this, that I wasn't in the car to learn that lesson.
Right. Exactly. And I was thankful I was going as slow as I was. If I was going a little bit faster, he would have hit me on, right where I sat. So there's always something to be thankful for, and paying attention to the energies that are supporting you, that are what you want. And this is a point that I wanted to make a while ago, and then we got off on other things. One of the ways to let go of this disruptive energy when you are experiencing it is to figure out what you do want and only allow yourself to pay attention to what you do want, as opposed to what is right now. I'm standing here, police are here, this kid is upset because he wasn't supposed to be in Dallas, and yada, yada, yada. He was driving his girlfriend's mother's car. So what did I want? I wanted my car to be fixed as fast as it could be fixed, and it's a less than 2-year-old car. I wanted my car to look brand new and be brand new, and it looks and it is and it drives just like it's brand new. It had no, as messed up as it was all the crinkle zones. I had no structural damage. That was one of the things I very specifically said. I want no structural damage to my car. And as messed up as it looked, there was no structural damage to my car.
Yay.
Yeah, but the point is to figure out what you do want, not to be grousing about and harboring the negative energy of what is. I mean, this is definitely, yes, and people are going to say, that's law of attraction. Yes, it is, absolutely. So concentrate on what you do want in those situations. What do you want? So when you find yourself that okay, I have created this tumor, I have created this disease, I have created this broken bone, I have created whatever. What do you want? You send out this energy, these thoughts, and you want them to go far and wide and bring back to you what you do want, as opposed to wallowing in what is. If you have a broken bone, I want the best person that's going to set this bone perfectly, or I want an Aborigine that can chant it back into place right now.
But many people project not what they do want, but what they don't want. And my feeling is, and I'd like to hear your thought, is that when they project out what they don't want, they're attracting it to them just the same.
Yes, absolutely true. Not only that, not only are they attracting it to themselves, for sure, but anybody within range of their aura, and we all know what an aura is by this point, anybody within range of their aura that has any inkling toward accepting that kind of negative energy is also attracting it to them. So it may not, one of the very first things to ask yourself is this situation that I'm in that is currently uncomfortable, is it mine? Well, it's at least partially yours, but it may not be all yours. It may not have been that because I was in a great mood. I had just decided to join a country club. I had just decided to go and get some things that I needed for my condo, yada, yada, yada. I was in a fabulous mood. And I must have been accepting of somebody's negative energy. I might have been the person on the road that could allow this to happen to myself and my car and not damage the kid for his entire life. Now, it's going to cost him about $6,000, but, that's money, right? So I could have been the person that accepted the negative energy that he was running by being in the wrong place, against his parents' wishes, driving a car he wasn't familiar with, and yada, 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 and taking the consequences of it. See what I mean?
I mean, that totally makes sense. One other piece is, sometimes, and you were saying you were having a great day, and you decided you were going to go do all of these things for yourself. What comes to my little intuitive brain, just, I'm not looking at you, but just as a thought, is, if there is a history of not doing things for you and getting into the accident was trying to throw you back into an old pattern. You do not need to answer, but I think that happens to people, that they try to make a change and then the universe goes, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah. I'll have a no comment because that's too close to the truth answer.
I plead the fifth.
I plead the fifth. But yes, so then again, in order to use the Eastern type energy medicine, then what to do would be to break that trend right then and there. Because what's the alternative? I mean, really, you've only got two alternatives in that particular situation, don't you? Well, I guess you have three or more. But the two alternatives that come to mind immediately is either break the trend, break the pattern, and go forward with your life and do what you want to do, or accept it, grouse about it, and make it stronger. Or a third one would be put it on the kids. Right?
Well, that would be my first. And then when I found out that he was driving his mother-in-law's car, I'd be like, "Oh, you're in trouble."
I know.
And then, but even with that, I would find, I would find myself being somewhat sympathetic or empathetic because that kid is.
Oh, he is in trouble.
Toast. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So you mentioned some tools earlier about helping you to kind of recreate that balance, chiropractic. I mean, I love the breathe. Breathing's good.
Breathing's good. And breathe in. Like they say, thoughts are things, choose the good ones. That's probably a Mike Dooley thing. But thoughts are things. Breathe in and choose to feel. I mean, there's all sorts of atoms in that breath. There's all sorts of particles in that breath. And choose to accept the good ones in that breath and exhale. I mean, you don't breathe in usually, not usually. I know there are times, but you don't usually breathe in and not breathe out right away. It's usually in, out, in, out, in, out. You know, so you can get rid of stuff right away. You know, choose the good particles, the ones that are nurturing you. I mean, according to a couple of things that I've read, the Atlanteans nurtured themselves, nurtured their bodies, nurtured their energetic matrices with breath, not with food. How about that? Cool.
Kind of like those breath-tearing people.
Yeah. So choose the particles that consciously, when you breathe in, you know, visualize that the breath that you are taking has all this nurturing energy in it. And allow the breath to come easily rather than getting into the hyperventilating. Oh, my God, it's going to hurt. It's going to be this. I'm going to have to put out money. I'm going to, I'm going to do without my car. You know, yada, yada, yada. Breathe.
So what else can we do? I mean, other than punching the kid in the face, which, might feel
that's another
better.
exchange of energy. That's, other things that we can do is definitely, if you are not totally aware of how you're feeling, because just as Roger was saying in the first hour, you're not necessarily, you might have an asleep body, a body that's asleep. So you might not even be aware of how you're feeling. And if you're not, that's when any modality, any of the alternative modalities come into play, whatever you can actually begin to feel. For instance, like I am very attuned to energy work, as you know. And so my first choice would be to go to an energy worker, an intuitive like yourself or someone.
Me.
Yeah, like you. Well, and I am also an energy worker.
And you can do that over the phone. Here
and
I'm
you
doing
can do
a
that.
commercial.
Exactly. And it does work because there really isn't any time and there really isn't any space. It's all our illusion. We make up the rules. So just go ahead and do it over the phone. And then the thing is that then once you've done it over the phone and you've made that voice connection, because voice is an energy, right? Voice is an expression. So once you've made that connection, then you don't even need the phone. But then the people that are empathic, like myself and yourself, we have to create so that we're not always invaded. But anyway, another subject, another time. So you breathing, get an energy worker to help you. Now, in my practice in the Center for Kinetic Change, I combine a number of different modalities into what I call a kinetic change session. Now I'm doing the commercial, right? Okay, but
well, it's your time, so go for it.
things that I use are sound, like we'll work with breath and we'll work with the sound of your voice. And not that I am any sort of voice professional, but we'll look at the differences. I mean, when I get really nervous, I can tell you. Can you tell that my voice is changing when I get really nervous? You probably could tell a change between the first few minutes of this call and now, because your voice actually is an expression of how you're feeling. So another tool that you can use, yelling. Yelling is to get rid of that disruptive energy. I mean, sit in your car afterwards. My car was drivable. So you can sit in your car afterwards, and if you really haven't been able to let go, scream at the top of your lungs. Let it go. Or whistle. Or sing. voice as an expression. In a kinetic change session that I would do at the Center for Kinetic Change, I use crystal bowls. I use the crystal bowls and use the sounds of the crystal bowls to create a harmony within the body, to create a more harmonious expression of what that person's life is. Voice again. Go and listen to a meditation tape. Have a guided meditation instead of trying to. I mean, there's plenty enough of them on the market, but have a guided meditation to help you get down and touch your inner soul, your highest self, however you want to express that. You can go to a person. Movement. Movement is definitely a wonderful expression. Go to a dance class or a Zumba class or a martial arts class, okay? And whichever is going to help you express that energy that you want to let go of. A yoga class is a nice gentle, it could be gentle. I know there was an incident in Europe many, many, many years ago where my boss, let's just say that he had different aspirations for that trip than I did. On my way home, I don't watch movies that are like violent movies, okay? But on my way home from Europe, I watched a really violent movie, and I put all my anger at him for his desires into that movie, and I was that person that was killing other people.
Die.
A sad and lonely death. But there's all sorts of ways. Another modality that I use in a kinetic change session is so cool, and it's called auric body coning. And, people are very familiar with ear cones. However, there are special cones that are made in New Mexico from a shaman, and they have Reiki energy and essential oils and all sorts of other formulas and everything that have been gifted to this person. And I use those cones, and I can put them in various places on the body and help to bring out stuck energy that the person feels they're ready to let go of and maybe is having a hard time bringing to the surface. And so, there's all sorts of modalities. I mentioned acupuncture. I mentioned chiropractic. I mentioned, all the sound energies. Paul Hubbard is another one that comes up and does sound energy. All sorts of modalities. There's lists and lists. Just you can put alternative medicine into Google and come up with all sorts of things. But
I find even if you just put one of your favorite dance songs on and get up off the sofa and just start moving and grooving and just getting into it, it can work wonders. Right.
And by the way, walking itself, just the actual movement of walking, side to side, swinging your arms, not carrying anything, that is energy balancing. And when you're walking, again, be aware of how even you are. I mean, you can stand. Everybody listening, stand up, everybody. Okay, feet shoulder length apart, and be near something that you can catch in case you fall. Catch yourself in case you fall. But just close your eyes and tune in and see where you are. You might be leaning left, you might be leaning right, forward, backward, whatever, to see where you're unbalanced. And then just move a little, allow your body to move a little, and voila, eventually you will get balanced. All you need to do is allow yourself to be balanced. The universe is in balance. Yes, there's positive, there's negative, there's sickness, there's health. All of that duality, yes, it all exists, and it's balanced. So which side of the balance do you want to be on?
The good
I
side?
like the good side. I like the good side. It's more fun.
Where are you on the whole idea of cleaning? I mean, I don't know about you, but when I get really upset, especially if I'm home, you can tell because I end up with a really clean house.
Well, that is wonderful. Not only cleaning, but decluttering. Get those cluttery things out of your house. You don't need them. We all have too much stuff, I say, as I look at 9 shelves worth of books. But we all have too much stuff. It's taken over a lot of our life as our stuff. I mean, just listen to George Carlin. I love George Carlin's stuff on stuff. But yes, decluttering, cleaning, anything that is movement and making what you're doing, because what you're talking about is making your life more the way you want it. You want a cleaner house, so you're cleaning. So that's something that you do when it gets too disruptive or too disharmonious. You start cleaning and the harmony starts coming back. Right?
Okay, another little light bulb moment, but I'm not going to share.
Okay.
No, I will. So you're talking about that, and, I've just been feeling really overloaded lately. I have a lot on my plate. And as you're talking about decluttering and having it clear some space for you and all of that, and then I look around my office, and let me tell you, I mean, I'm finishing up a new book, and then there's the radio show, so I have guest books stacked up all over the place. It's kind of a nightmare. So I guess my next order of things I'm doing is to clean my office.
Yes.
Dr. Jean's in the house today.
Well, I want to make one point because we're talking about East meets West medicine, okay? And we've talked, as we both so love, we've talked about alternative modalities. And I do want to say that everybody, there is a place for allopathic medicine. I would not have a family if it were not for allopathic medicine. And I come from a family of psychics and healers. I'm the only business person in the family. But if it weren't for allopathic medicine, I wouldn't have sisters, I wouldn't have a father or a mother. Okay? My kids do okay. But I would not have a family if it were not for allopathic medicine. There is a time for allopathic, and there is a lot more time for alternative. But both are important. Use the allopathic for diagnostics and use the alternative to actually heal.
But can't they use in a complementary way?
Yes, absolutely in a complementary way. That's what I'm talking about. Use the allopathic to diagnose. And, I mean, if you have a broken leg, I don't know any Aborigines that live in Dallas that can chant it into place. I want to go to an orthopedic surgeon, and I want my leg to be put in place as it should be, okay? And then you start healing the trauma, and you start healing all the energy in the tissues, and take the memory of whatever caused the break, etc., out of the tissue so that you don't recreate it again, and you use alternative for that. It's absolutely complementary. Absolutely.
Jean, we have 1 minute left. Maybe give out your website or anything else you have going on that you want to share with the listeners.
Okay. Center for Kinetic Change is kineticchange.com. I am a webmaster as well, and, of course, therefore, my website has not been updated in a long time. But it will be soon, and
that's why I love you.
But it gives you how to get in touch with me, and if you want a Kinetic Change session, I would be very glad to do it. How's that?
So let me ask you, so does it have to be in person, or are you available by phone?
I love to be in person. I am available on the phone. But I love to be in person because, like I was saying before, about catching the energy, what I do is I go within and set an energy stage, you might say. An energy bubble is what it usually is, and put that person in the energy bubble so that they can relax, and relaxing into their optimal health and prosperity, whatever that is for them.
We like prosperity.
Yeah,
I mean, we say we like prosperity. You know, sometimes maybe not so much, you know, with what we tend to do to ourselves.
Right.
So, Jean, thank you so much for coming on. Oh, go ahead.
Well, thank you for having me. I really love it when we talk.
I know. It's always just such an interesting dialogue, and I never know where we're going to end up going. So.
Okay. Thanks again.
All right. Well, there's the music. Thanks a lot. That's Jean McClelland. Her webpage is kineticchange.com. And next week, we're going to have two great guests. The return of Michael Cremo, talking about extreme antiquity of the human race. And in the second hour, we have Daniel Brinkley coming on, talking about 2012 and the changing face of time. So until next week, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Just Energy Radio. Be blessed.
Join host Dr. Rita Louise each week at this time for Just Energy Radio. Point your browser to www.justenergyradio.com for more show information and to contact Dr. Rita.